Good morning from Andover, Kansas. This is Butler Community College in Andover. My name is Randy Bush. I'm one of the International Student Advisors, and with me today is my colleague Cynthia Meyer, and we'll be talking to you about international student life at Butler Community College. I want to begin by giving you an overview of Butler and just some basic facts about our college. Well, first of all, Butler Community College has excuse me.
Go ahead.
Butler Community College has international students from 73 countries around the world. So we really have a sprinkling of students from all parts of the world. The main regions that we have are East Asia. Our leading country now is China. We're going to talk about our top 10 a little better in a few minutes. South Asia, we have a fairly long tradition of students from Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Nepal, also East Africa, Kenya, and Tanzania. Oh, there we go. I'm sorry, I had a little glitch. Southeast Asia, Malaysia, and I think I mentioned Vietnam. So those are some of the highlights, and there's some beautiful pictures from around the world. Well, the academic programs at Butler, which are popular among international students, include business administration and accounting. Those programs focus on accounting, micro and macroeconomics, other business courses, along with the general education curriculum, which includes English, math, behavioral science, social science, humanities, fine arts, and Butler degrees do require a fitness course. Pre-engineering is popular as well. We are just 10 miles from Wichita State University, which has a large college of engineering. So students can prepare for engineering with calculus, physics, chemistry, other supporting courses. We have a variety of programs in information technology, things like internet working management, interactive 3D, and database administration. There are several to choose from, and these programs are mostly applied science degrees, associate in applied science, which will prepare the student to enter the workforce after about 2 to 3 years of classwork. Nursing is a popular program at Butler, and pre-health sciences is a newly designated major for those who are preparing for various health-related professions. The nursing program at Butler is highly competitive. They take, I think, about 55 students per semester. Some enter in the fall and then August, and others in the spring and January. So students will spend typically about 1 year preparing pre-nursing courses before they apply for nursing school. We also have a relatively new culinary arts program to prepare people in the field of cooking in restaurants and restaurant management. The broad program is called hospitality management, includes culinary arts, restaurant management, and hotel management. We have some rather unique programs at Butler as well. We are in a rural area. The main campus is in El Dorado, Kansas, kind of in the near center of Butler County, which is an agricultural region. And we have courses in crop science, majors in agribusiness, livestock management. We have one of the leading livestock judging teams in the entire United States. and students in agriculture can prepare to transfer to nearby Kansas State University, which is one of the leading colleges of agriculture in the United States. We have other practical programs like auto technology to prepare people to work on automobiles, which is an increasing profession, increasing demand and improving wages. Engineering technology prepares students to work in building parts for aircraft and other machinery. Aircraft is big in the Wichita area, and there are also some farm equipment industries nearby. A very hot new field is interactive 3D technology, which I believe Butler is the only college in Kansas that has that program. It's to prepare students to work on gaming technology, and as you know, gaming is very popular among college-age students around the world. We are very proud of the academic achievements of international students at Butler Community College. Every semester we have about 45% on the honor roll, which is a 3.0 B average, grade point average or above, and 10% of our international student population have the highest grades, 4.0, straight A's, and we see that they are doing, our students for the most part are doing well academically when they come to Butler. About half the international students get associate degrees at Butler, which will typically take 2 to 2.5 years. It depends on the course load. Minimum course load for students is 12 credit hours. At that pace, you'd need 5 semesters to graduate with 62 credit hours. Students that want to graduate in 2 years will have to take 15 to 16 credits per semester. Many students just take general education courses for 1 or 2 years at Butler and then transfer to larger universities throughout the United States. Some here in Kansas. We've had students go to Texas, to Oregon, to California, to New York, to Minnesota. So they routinely go all over the country. We have some of our international students participating in athletic programs, particularly in the track and cross country. There's been a long tradition of runners from countries like Kenya, Jamaica, and they are some of the best athletes at the junior college level in this country. We also have men's and women's basketball, which is highly competitive. In the Jayhawk Conference is the conference with about 19 community colleges in Kansas. Kansas is a fanatical state for basketball because our top universities are also very competitive: Wichita State, Kansas University, and Kansas State University. We have women's soccer and women's softball, which attract some international students from countries like, well, Britain, Australia, Canada. Students from those countries have come to play those sports at Butler, among others. Students can get involved in activities. We, of course, encourage participation in International Student Association. Each semester we have a welcome breakfast, a welcome luncheon, which is coming up in a week or so. About a month after class begins, we get students together for lunch, talk about their transition into Butler, and provide a nice meal for them. And then a couple other activities. Well, our main activity is International Food and Music Night. We have a video that is available on our website, and you might want to view that. That was from last November, and it shows you kind of excitement it's generated by our international students. Let me pause for a moment. There seems to be a question. The question is there any possibility for an undergraduate to study at Butler Community College English literature, language, etc.? Yes, this is Ghassan Khaldi, if I pronounce that correctly. Uh, yes, students may study literature. We have a variety of literature classes. Introduction to literature, we have a 2-semester sequence in American literature, 2-semester sequence in British literature. We have Shakespeare, short story, creative writing. So students can major in English and improve their writing skills. I will point out all students are required to take English Composition 1 and English Composition 2, and then they can track into the other courses. Okay, I'll just finish this slide with Student Government Association. We have, for the first time, I think, in my recollection, an international student who is president of Student Government Association. His name is Miguel Swan. He's from the Bahamas, and he is providing excellent leadership for student government this year at Butler. And by the way, there's a video on our site which features Miguel Swan, and so if you're interested in what he has to say, please check out that video. Well, this photo is a panoramic view of Wichita, which is the largest city in Kansas, located near the campuses of Butler, and at Andover is about 15 minutes commute from the Wichita metro area. That's where we are broadcasting today, from the Andover campus. Andover is a suburban community. It's very comfortable and easy access from Wichita, about 15-minute drive. The main campus is in El Dorado, which is about 25 miles from Wichita, 30-minute drive approximately, where we have a very nice traditional residential campus with dormitories, student apartments, friendly small town atmosphere. And so those are the main campus choices, and they're rather different environments. And when you inquire with us, please ask. Another question. Ghassan says, excuse me, is there any scholarship for international students studying English language? Well, Ghassan, we are working on developing a scholarship program for international students. A proposal has been written and submitted to begin a program in the fall semester, and we will be notified at the end of February about that grant proposal. At this point in time, we do not have specific scholarships for international students, but we are working hard right as we speak to develop those. So we hope by fall that will be available. What we're anticipating is the first-time student entering Butler would likely not be eligible for a scholarship, but after the first semester and establish an academic record at Butler, then have some options for scholarship. Well, let me wrap up my first part of the presentation by commenting what makes Butler Community College distinctive. Well, we believe we have a friendly, welcoming environment located in the center of the United States. You can see on the map the geographic center of the United States is in Kansas. It's in the northeastern part, but we're sort of equidistant from the Canadian border. Cities like Minneapolis, Chicago to the north, Texas, Dallas is 300 miles, 5-hour drive. Kansas City is the next largest city and nearby, about 2.5 hours away. The West Coast, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Denver. Denver's actually just 7 or 8 hour drive from Wichita. The Rocky Mountains, those who like mountain skiing and other mountain sports. And the East Coast is, you want to fly there, but There are regular flights to New York and Boston. So the other thing we have is small classroom size, dedicated faculty who emphasize teaching, and that creates a good learning environment for international students. We have relatively low tuition, and this is something unusual in American colleges today. Butler has reduced international tuition for the next year, and so when you enter in the fall, the rate will be $214 per credit, and that's $25 less than it was this year. So it's a positive trend for international students. I'm going to take a pause and turn this over to my colleague Cynthia Meyer, and she's going to talk about international admission.
Good morning, everyone. Here in Kansas, it is quite early in the morning. I'm sure you have different times of the day where you are sitting and listening to this. So you've listened to Randy talk about our college and the area and the degrees that we offer. Interested in getting admitted. How do you do that? How do you get here? So I'm going to go through, as the slide says, the process in a nutshell. We're going to take a hypothetical student. We're going to name him Raj, and he's a student from Kathmandu, Nepal. First thing he does is sends a letter of inquiry, most often through the internet on an email message. And the Butler International Office replies with information and forms and things to get you started, all the application materials you needed to begin your process. Our international specialist, Stephanie Proct, will actually be sending those items out to you. So Stephanie is a name you will see often. When Raj gets the information from Stephanie, he's going to respond with a lot of the documents that are needed for your application. We need your secondary transcripts. That means high school. That is called different things in different parts of the world. You may have O-levels or A-level, or you may have a baccalaureate, depending on your educational system in your home country. We also need your U.S. college transcripts should you be attending somewhere within the United States. The application for admission itself can be submitted online, or you can scan it and email it to our web address. That's probably the most common way that we get applications at this point in time. Your financial support documents are very important. You have to be able to verify that you have enough money for at least 1 year's attendance. That is required by federal law. At this point, before the reduction in tuition goes, that's the bottom line there is $18,208. That includes not only your tuition, but your living expenses, your books, your medical insurance, and other items are included in that, in hopes that we give you enough leeway to be able to function well when you arrive here in the United States. The financial support documents are actually a letter from your financial sponsor. That could be a family member, that could be a business that you are currently working for that is sponsoring you, could be a collection of different people. You could have an aunt, an uncle, and your parents that are going together to provide your financial support. For every person that is supplying money for your educational support, we need to have the financial support affidavit or letter that's hand-signed by them. And to go with this letter, we need a bank statement that is current and no older than 6 months. Altogether, your financial support has to amount to the total amount required. And as I said, it is $18,208 today, but it will be slightly reduced. I believe the new tuition amount brings it down to about $750 a year. And that's a substantial help. We need to have your test scores for English proficiency. You're going to be competing in classrooms with native speakers, and you need to be able to understand what's going on. So we require a TOEFL score, the internet-based test of 61, or an IELTS score of 5.0. Those are the minimum required scores. Higher is better, but in order to gain admission, you must have at least those minimum scores. For academics, we can also use ACT or SAT exams. That may make you eligible for a scholarship, for a first-year scholarship with your SAT scores. Those decisions are made by our financial aid department, but you would need to submit the SAT scores. The admission fee is a processing fee that it amounts to $75 US, and that also is part of our admission process and necessary before we can issue you your I-20, which is the last part of your admission. Okay, all those documents Raj has sent to our office, and either Randy or I will check your application and your financial documents. We'll make sure that you have the proper English proficiency. As I said, we most often see a TOEFL or IELTS score, and those scores are published, so you may be able to access those if you forget what I just told you. The English grades in secondary school may work for your English proficiency should you happen to come from a country where English is the official language. That could be anywhere from Great Britain to Australia to Kenya. There's various countries that have English as an official language. And the last way that we have is 12 credit hours at a U.S. college or university, and also that includes a year of study at a U.S. high school. Those are the ways that we establish your English proficiency. It is test-based, but that's the best way we have to know that you are going to be able to handle your English presented courses. Then we may request further documentation. For example, perhaps your financial documents fall just a little short, or your sponsor forgot to sign his or her letter. We may need some further documentation. If we don't, then we are going to admit you and issue the I-20 through the SEVIS website. The I-20 is the document that you take to the visa interview at the embassy. Once admitted, Raj receives that I-20 and a letter of admission. You will find that those are necessary to complete your visa appointment. You have to have the number from the I-20, which is how the embassy tracks who you are and where you are. So that's important. You will have a $200 SEVIS fee to pay. We'll give you instructions on how to do that. You're not in this alone. We're here to help you through this very complicated process. As I said, Raj pays that $200 fee, and the SEVIS code number is actually on your I-20. It's above the barcode on the upper right-hand side. Once he gets his SEVIS fee paid, he prints the receipt off the online website. It is done online for the best results. You can pay it through Western Union. It's a little bit different process, but similar. So Raj gets through all this and he gets his receipt and he's now ready to make that all-important visa appointment at the U.S. Embassy in his area, or some have them in their exact country. Oh, you see, there's a little bit of nervousness going on. Raj has his appointment, but he's a little nervous because not everybody gets their visa. He takes these documents that I have listed here, his I-20, his passport, the affidavit of support and bank verification. And remember I said that could be more than one sponsor. So you bring all the things that you have used for admission, plus that receipt that you printed off of paying your SEVIS fee. And all those things have to come with you to your visa appointment. Raj has set his appointment and he's ready to have the actual appointment at the embassy. And he arrives early, makes sure he has all the papers he needs to have, and waits his turn. The actual visit with the consular could be short, it could be long. They will look at the documents that you've brought along, may ask some questions, and then, oh, Raj was lucky. The embassy agrees to grant Raj his student visa. He's told to come back the next day, maybe the next day, maybe the next 2 or 3 days, but he will come back to pick up the visa in his passport, and that begins the process for coming to the United States. As you can see, Raj is pretty happy. So he's been planning this for months and months. Some students take years in the process, but usually it's about a 3 to 4 month process altogether. Raj says goodbye to his friends and family and boards the plane for his flight to the United States. The leaving is often a very exciting time. So Raj arrives in the United States at the port of entry, and the Department of Homeland Security official checks his documents. Those documents would be the I-20, passport, and anything else he wants to look at. His visa will be stamped F1/DS. That means that he is now admitted to the United States for duration of status. As long as you stay in line with all the rules and regulations that the federal government of the United States has set up for F1 visa students, you remain in status, and even if your visa expires, you're allowed to remain here. Eventually, from the port of entry, which could be New York, it could be Houston, it could be Minneapolis, could be San Francisco, might even be Wichita. But they get on another plane and come to Wichita. As you remember from Randy's map, Kansas is in the very center of the United States. And very often the student arrives at a different port of entry at the airport in another city, has to board another plane and come to Wichita. So we will meet you at the campus, from the campus, and bring you here if you let us know that you will need transportation. And we'll bring you to campus, where, as this says, Raj's story is just beginning. The educational process can take 2 to 2.5 years at Butler Community College before transferring for your bachelor degree, and that is the beginning. There's a lot of things that happen. You are not alone in your transition process. We have a special orientation that we have for international students to learn how to stay in status. It's not a simple process, but it's not all that difficult too. And we help you through it to understand what is going on. So that's what's going on with Raj, and hopefully that's what will be going on with you very soon. We're going to pause again, and we're ready to take more questions if you have some. One question here I would like to talk about is transportation. As Randy mentioned, we are 15 miles outside of the city of Wichita. Wichita does have buses. However, we do not have buses that run to our particular suburban community here in Andover. Transportation is an issue that you must learn to deal with by acquiring rides with other students or being prepared to purchase a vehicle for your own transportation. You can live in Andover and walk to class, and that's also an option for you. I have another question coming in. This question is from Allah Abdallah. Hello, I'm an electrical engineering student from Tunisia. I have 2 years left before I finish. I want to ask how I can apply. Whoops, there's a little bit more here. I think if you were listening to me just before, I went through the application process. On our website, there is a place to apply online, and that would be the place to begin. Send in your online application, and you can continue your study here, getting all the prereqs out of the way to move on to your electrical engineering major at a university. How can I apply it at an American university? Yeah, if you've already gotten all of your calculus and physics and other general education courses out of the way, then you probably do wish to go on to a 2-year university. Wichita State University is about 15 miles away from where I'm sitting right now, and they do have a good electrical engineering department. So that might be a place for you to start. Thank you, Ella. Okay. I think we're ready to go to our next section here. Give you just a minute, and we're going to switch, and Randy's going to come back and tell you about our top 10.
All right, well, we're waking up here. It's early in the morning for us in the winter, so it's dark. But one thing I wanted to talk about, I think it might be of interest, is our top 10 countries represented among international students. I said we have students from all over the world, over 70 countries, but here's our top 10. China's number 1, and as you may know, China is the largest country in the world, 1.3 billion people, a country that is advancing rapidly economically, and as a result sending many students to the United States. And in fact, China is the number 1 group of international students throughout the United States. So in most institutions, they also represent the top group. And Chinese students do have challenges with language, and I've seen students working very hard. We have 2 excellent student profiles from China, Jia Yanfei Li and Xiao Lu, a young woman and man. Please check out their video on our booth to hear more from their perspective as students from China. Vietnam is rising in sending international students. They're number 2 at Butler this year. Many Vietnamese students have family connections in the Wichita area. There's a large immigrant population from Vietnam, so many of the Vietnamese students have aunts, uncles, cousins living here, and that's one of the things that brings them to Butler Community College. And like China, Vietnam is advancing economically. Uh, Sri Lanka is a country in South Asia where for many years, over 15 years, we've had a regular flow of students. It's a beautiful country, uh, also known as Ceylon, a country that has a large tourist industry, and I've noted that several of our Sri Lankan students have chosen hospitality management as a major because they want to go back to their country and work in the tourist industry. Kenya in East Africa may be, I think, over the long term, a country that sent the most students to Butler Community College and many student athletes. Kenya has the world's top long distance runners, and some of them come to Butler to participate in track and field and cross country. Kenyan students seem to have taken an interest in nursing in many cases. That's a popular choice for them, and some in engineering, others in business administration. Bangladesh, another South Asian country, a country that is emerging as a manufacturer of clothing, for one thing. It's very big in that market, and a highly densely populated country. And so Bangladesh students find their way to Wichita, and one thing they note is less density of population. In fact, most students from Africa and Asia come to the Wichita and the area and Butler Community College and feel relaxed because really our population is relatively sparse, and it allows a student to focus on their studies. South Korea has been a traditional market for quite a long time. I think South Korea also ranks about number 3 in the whole United States in terms of numbers of international students. South Korea is a highly developed country at this point in time. Students from South Korea, in some cases, come here for high school in the Wichita area and then transfer into Butler Community College after they finish high school. Now, Nigeria is actually new to the top 10. It's the largest country in West Africa. It's an oil-rich country, a country whose economy is rising as well, and there's been a increasing flow of students from Nigeria who happen to speak very good English. It's a former British colony, and they speak that British English very well. Pakistan, another former British colony, has re-emerged into the top 10, a country that had quite a few students some years ago, but then declined because of, well, wars and conflicts in the region. Pakistan borders on Afghanistan, but Pakistan is now sending more students. Saudi Arabia, the center of the Muslim world, has established a very large, extensive scholarship program through the Saudi Cultural Mission. So students that qualify for that are supported by their government, and they are coming in very large numbers to the United States and to all schools in the Kansas and around the country. Nepal, a small mountain country tucked in the Himalaya mountains. We have had a few years ago as many as 50 students from Nepal in a given semester. It's declined somewhat, but they're still in the top 10. And so students from Nepal keep coming back to Butler. So there's a look at the world map. I don't know where you're located, but we welcome students not just from the countries in the top 10. We'd like to see more students from South America and Colombia, Chile, Peru, Ecuador. We've had a few here and there. Brazil. I met with some students locally yesterday. We're in a high school in Wichita, several students from Brazil. So we welcome more back. We don't get as many students from Europe, but we have had recently students from Germany, Russia, Denmark, Belgium, and Sweden, United Kingdom, and so there are pathways to America through Europe. But as we've said, Asia and Africa have been our larger markets. Let me pause. Yeah, any questions?
We have a question.
Here we go. Yes. Allah has another question. Please, can you send me your email to more detail? Yes, we will respond to that. Stephanie, our other staff member, will be sending replies, and we're going to be on live chat the rest of the day until 3 p.m. Central Time or 4 p.m. Eastern Time. So we will reply so that you have an email contact here. And then I really need your private help. Well, that's something we'll take up with you in email and get some more details of about what your needs are there. Any other questions now? Well, I have one more section, and this is a top 10 list. You know, Americans in the media like to do the top 10. Maybe the most famous person is a late night talk show host, David Letterman, who's getting near retirement. I realized when I came up with this idea that probably you young students out across the world may not be familiar with David Letterman, but here's the Butler top 10 reasons that students like Butler Community College. And we count from the bottom up. Number 10, the cost of living in Kansas is relatively low in terms of housing. I might say apartments are available around $500 a month for 2 people. 500 to 700 is certainly available. We have some of the cheapest gasoline right now in the United States. It's not much over $2 a gallon, $2 to $2.15 a gallon currently. But routinely, gasoline in this area is low. El Dorado, the home campus of Butler Community Colleges, has oil and gas refineries, a major industry, and it keeps those costs low. And we have mentioned that tuition is declining. I think that's here. Number 9, Butler has English as a second language classes in reading, writing, and pronunciation to help international students improve their English skills. Let me note, we do not have a formal intensive English language program. And as Cynthia mentioned, you must meet a English proficiency requirement to be admitted to Butler. But once admitted, all students are given placement tests for English to determine where is the proper level for them to start. And so we have 2 steps of ESL, English, reading, writing, and pronunciation. So some students take 1 or 2 steps. Some are ready for English 101 as well. But you can get help with improving your English, but you do have to have a minimum proficiency. Number 8, Butler has international students from 76 different countries around the world. Now, that is for the spring semester. I think my previous slide was 73 for fall semester, but we have, broad band of countries. There's something like 193 nation states around the world, and so we have students from nearly half of them. And Butler values building a global society on campus. It's part of our mission statement now, that we want our students to be prepared to enter a global society. And this we touched on before. Number 7, Butler Community College is decreasing international tuition. This is virtually unheard of in American colleges and universities. But for next academic year, it will go down from $239 to $214 per credit to benefit international students. And that will make your tuition for one semester is just over $2,500. So it's about a $500 impact in reducing your bill from what it is currently. So we hope that's an incentive. It's designed to be an incentive for students to attend Butler. Number 6, well, these pictures are a little distorted, but every year we have graduation, and that's me, Randy Bush, and this is Cynthia Meyer in our graduation attire. The idea here is, regardless of the photo, that we international students are assigned to advisors, so you'll work with one of us and have consistent contact with advisors through the academic year. We like to see our students really once a month is the general plan, but we'll certainly see you at the minimum twice per semester to enroll, and maybe at the end to check out, or if you're transferring. We help you with all those things that you need. And so that's a service we provide that we think is distinctive. All right, there's fun to be had at Butler Community College. There's a variety of student activities available. I've mentioned some of these earlier. International Student Association, student government. There are music lessons on the main campus. If you're interested in playing the piano, the guitar, one of the horns or woodwinds, music lessons one-on-one are available. Butler of El Dorado has a wonderful theater program, and I think approximately 2 or 3 plays every semester. Athletic events, we have a top-ranked football team. American football is popular around the world, and a new stadium built just a couple of years ago, and on Saturday afternoon or evening they pack in a very big crowd for Butler Community College Grizzly football. A lot of enthusiasm for that. I mentioned, and I again draw you to that video. Check out the video on International Food and Music Night. We had a wonderful time in November. 80-some students in attendance. We had music, we had dancing, and we had food from, I think it was 14 or 15 countries, including our Black Student Association brought soul food, and our Halo Hispanic American Association brought burritos. So there was some incredible food. You can see that on the video. I think we have another question. Aja, what is the cost? Well, yeah, you might have just jumped in. It's in the fall when you come. It'll be $214 per credit hour. That will mean tuition runs just under $2,600 per semester. Now, there are additional costs. We have a mandatory medical insurance plan, which is very important for students to have access to health care. That runs about $1,000 a year. And we do have monthly payment programs. So I think currently a monthly payment for tuition and medical insurance is approximately $800 to $900. And don't forget the cost of books. We want to be honest and straightforward. Textbooks are expensive. There are new ways to get textbooks by rental or e-textbook, but you better plan $400 or $500 per semester for books. So that's an added cost. And Cynthia mentioned earlier about admission. The overall estimate for the total cost of being at Butler, living expenses and all expenses, is $18,208. That will come down just a little bit for the fall. It'll be under $18,000. Okay, let me finish my top 10. Number 4, Butler campuses in El Dorado and Andover are located in relatively quiet settings, which many international students find comfortable to focus on learning. I don't know how many times a student has said and commented that this is a good place to study. Now, part of that is because it's not as busy as some other places you might be, but there's enough going on, I think, certainly to keep you happy and active and give you that time and focus to advance your learning and your education. So these are some sites from our different campuses. And El Dorado is the main campus, 2,500 students or so. Dormitories, sports programs, music programs. Andover is a commuter campus. We have over 5,000 students total. Number 3, Butler's professors are dedicated to teaching, and they're often willing to spend extra time with students, which is why Butler is known as, quote, the learning college of choice in this area. And Mr. Einstein, the famous scientist, said, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. And our teachers, our professors attempt to make things understood and will spend that extra time. And I see this happening every day of the week in the classroom, outside the classroom, and it's a real benefit. And that's another reason why a community college is a good starting point for many students as a stepping stone to the university. And related to that, our class sizes are small. Maximum is about 25 to 30 students in most classes. Some classes will be fewer than that. Your smaller classes may be 10 to 15 students. I think the ESL English classes are held at about 15 or 16 students. So that gives you more access to the instructor and interaction with other students. And I might add, we have a growing number of online classes. In fact, broad sections of the curriculum are available online. International students can take one online class per semester. Unless they're taking a heavier load, that could allow them two online classes. Standard load is one online class. So if you like that kind of learning opportunity, those are available too. And many students really enjoy online learning because it's more flexible than classroom attendance. While I'm on this point, I might add the schedules for classes are different in the Andover campus, which is a commuter campus. We have 3-hour block classes for the most part. The class is once a week for 3 hours. So most students will build a class schedule with 2 days of the week. Maybe it's Tuesday and Thursday, and it might be 8:30 in the morning to 3:30 in the afternoon. Or if you like to start a little later, 12:30 in the afternoon to 7 p.m. in the early evening. That's a typical schedule, Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday. El Dorado has a traditional college class schedule where classes will meet about 1 hour, 50 minutes, say Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 a.m. to 9:55. And so students there will take most of their classes in the morning and be free for other activities in the afternoon. And number 1, and there's the fireworks, we believe Butler has a friendly, welcoming environment for international students. Many international students come to Butler by word of mouth through recommendations of their friends and relatives who have attended Butler. And Cynthia, we have many, I would say, yeah, heartwarming stories of brothers and sisters, cousins, friends who have come to Butler, maybe in sequence, maybe together, but they find their way here and become part of the Butler family. We talk about the Butler family, but in many ways, I mean, it is a fair statement of the way the college operates. Let me see if you have any more questions. We have about 5 more minutes. You want to add anything here, Cynthia?
No. Might talk about the weather if they come from the tropical.
Yes, well, the weather is always has an impact on all of us. We're in the middle of winter, although we've had some rather warm weather here. Uh, Weather patterns in Kansas and in Wichita and Butler County vary. We get a lot of extreme weather. In the winter, though, it's, I would say, on the whole, relatively mild, probably most of the time between 20 degrees and 50 degrees. We've had some warm days up to 70 in the last couple of weeks, but we will get snow 2 or 3 times in the winter. And, you know, from let's say late November until mid-March, that's our winter season. Spring begins to come in pretty much on schedule with the calendar in late March and April. April and May are often very beautiful months. May is one of the finest months of the year, generally in Wichita, as everything becomes very green. We get more rain. Summer, June and July, it begins to heat up, and we'll often get 100-degree temperatures in July and August, all the way into early September. But then things cool and days are shorter, and fall is a pleasant season. Late September, October are beautiful months, and sometimes we get the extended fall all the way into November. So that we have the 4 seasons. That's something many students like, depending on what part of the world they come from. Yeah, the semester system and the college schedule. Um, well, the fall semester begins August, usually around the 20th. This year it's the 17th of August, I believe, and runs up to about December 15th. And then we have a break. The semester is 16 weeks, 4 months. We have a few classes that are shorter in duration, some classes that start the second month for 12 weeks and then at the mid-semester and go for 8 weeks. Spring semester, okay, there's a break from mid-December to mid-January. It's probably about 5 weeks in total. We start classes usually around January 20th in the spring, although it's actually the middle of winter, but we call it spring semester, and it goes to mid-May. May 15th is usually the end point, and the graduation, which you saw us in our graduation attire, and it's one of those celebratory days of the year, and students often have family members attend. Sometimes they get that tourist visa to come to the United States and watch their young daughter or son graduate from Butler Community College. So that, and we have summer classes June and July for 8 weeks, which is optional. Students are not required to take summer class, but if you want to move forward academically, you can take the summer classes. Well, we're getting near the end. Do we have any other questions?
Handling the immigration right here. You want to go through our orientation?
Yes, and we do have an orientation for new international students. We've struggled with different formats for that. Currently, we're doing it about a month after class starts, when things settle down and students have kind of managing their classes, and then we'll have a meeting, in fact, next week for approximately 2 hours to go over F1 student visa regulations. We want students to be informed about their visa regulations and help them meet all of their obligations. And we go through also, you know, financial obligations at the college, academic issues, things to avoid like plagiarism and cheating, and help students better understand how the American academic system works. We also look at practical things like the challenges of housing and transportation, which can be difficult. Most students will eventually obtain an automobile. It's in many parts of the world you can get around without a car, and we just don't have adequate public transportation here, so that is something the student will learn get a driver's license, get a car. We can provide some guidance with that, but we have to admit it's a big challenge. And housing's been touched on. There is some campus housing. There are apartments, and we're coming to the end. And we've enjoyed being with you today. Thank you.